Hey guys, tonight we're dusting off the sand from history's most glamorous reputation and crawling straight into something far stranger, the mind-altering habits of ancient Egypt. Not the postcard Egypt, not the shiny museum Egypt. I mean the real one. Hot, smoky, slightly fermented, and quietly experimenting with substances while hoping the gods approved. So before we begin, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you actually enjoy this sort of thing. Leave a comment telling me where you're listening from and what time it is for you. It's always late. History only works after bedtime. Now dim the lights, switch on a fan for that comforting desert breeze illusion, get comfortable, and let your shoulders relax like a priest who just finished explaining hieroglyphs to tourists. Now let's ease into a few questions. Have you ever wondered what people used before pharmacies existed? What counted as medicine when science and religion were roommates who never spoke? Did ancient Egyptians really get altered on purpose? Or was it more of an unfortunate side effect of bread, beer, and bad decisions? What did it feel like to attend a ritual slightly buzzed, surrounded by incense, chanting, and a god with a falcon head staring directly into your soul? Would you survive a single day relying on honey, poppy sap, and whatever was growing near the river? And now, congratulations. You've just woken up in ancient Egypt. The sun is already aggressive, your pillow is made of stone, and someone is offering you beer for breakfast. This is normal. Good luck. You wake up early because the sun has decided that sleep is a suggestion, not a rule. Breakfast is bread so dense it could be used as a building material, paired with beer so thick it needs to be chewed. This isn't a party drink. This is nutritional beer, the ancient equivalent of a smoothie with emotional problems. You sip it slowly, not because you're savoring it, but because it's already doing something to your head. You haven't even left the house yet, and your brain feels like it's buffering. This is how mornings work here. There is no coffee. There is no tea. There is no magical bean that says good morning to your nervous system. Instead, you have fermented grain, mild alcohol, and optimism. The beer is low in alcohol, yes, but that doesn't mean it's innocent. It's cloudy, warm, and alive in a way that suggests it has opinions. You drink it because the water is suspicious and the beer has been boiled at some point, which technically makes it the safest option. This is less a beverage choice and more a survival strategy. As you sit there, chewing your drink and drinking your bread, you start to feel it. Not drunk, not happy, just softened, like your thoughts have put on sandals. Your body is awake, but your mind is still tying its shoes. It's the mental state modern people reach after scrolling for 20 minutes before getting out of bed, except here it's sponsored by yeast. Around you, everyone else is doing the same thing. Children drink it. Workers drink it. Nobody is concerned. This is breakfast. This is hydration. This is how you prepare for a long day of labor under a sun that feels personal. The beer provides calories, vitamins, and just enough chemical encouragement to make hauling stones feel like a reasonable life choice. You stand up slowly, because standing up quickly feels like a mistake. The floor is still where you left it, which is reassuring. Outside, the day is already loud. Donkeys complain. Someone is arguing about grain. A neighbor is singing, badly, with confidence. You take another sip because clearly this is helping everyone cope. There's something quietly fascinating about starting your day slightly altered. You're not escaping reality. You're easing into it. Edges feel less sharp. Problems feel like tomorrow's concern, even though they're definitely today's problem. It's like microdosing responsibility avoidance, ancient edition. You think about how strange this would sound to someone from the future. Imagine explaining that you don't have coffee, but you do have beer, and that it's considered a wholesome breakfast beverage. Imagine telling them you're not an alcoholic, you're just alive in the wrong century. They would nod politely and then back away. As you finish breakfast, there's a gentle hum in your head. Not unpleasant, just present. The kind of hum that makes routine tasks feel ceremonial. Grinding grain feels important. Walking feels purposeful. Even standing still feels like you're doing something correctly. And this is the first quiet trick of the day. Before the heat, before the work, before the gods and rituals and responsibilities, your morning has already nudged your consciousness slightly off-center. Not enough to forget who you are, just enough to make the world tolerable. You wipe your hands, take one last mouthful of emotional support beer, and step into the sunlight. Your stomach is full. Your mind is mildly foggy. Your expectations for the day are low, which is historically the correct setting. Somewhere far in the future, people will panic if they don't have caffeine before speaking to another human being. Here, you've already had fermented bread water and a quiet existential shrug. Different tools, same goal. You take a breath, feel the warmth settle in and think, yes, this will do. You can work like this. You can live like this, at least until lunch. Let's talk about healthcare. You have a headache, which means it's time for honey, herbs, and possibly poppy extracts. The healer speaks confidently, which is comforting, even though the treatment plan sounds like a recipe invented during a dare. The idea isn't to cure the problem so much as to confuse it. Your pain fades, your thoughts soften, and suddenly lying still while staring at the ceiling feels like a productive medical outcome. This is medicine in a world where observation, tradition, and optimism form a loose but enthusiastic alliance. There are no pills, no warning labels, and definitely no pamphlets explaining side effects. Instead, there's a strong belief that nature knows what it's doing, even if it occasionally puts you to sleep in the middle of a sentence. The healer reaches for honey first, because honey fixes everything. Sore throat? Honey. Wound? Honey. Existential dread? Probably honey. Then come the herbs. Leaves crushed with the confidence of someone who has watched this work at least once. Roots that smell like damp earth and commitment. Seeds that look harmless, but carry a reputation. Each ingredient is explained in a calm, reassuring tone, as if you're supposed to understand any of this. You nod because nodding feels polite, and because your headache has already started backing away slowly. Now, if the pain is stubborn, that's when the poppy shows up. Not in a dramatic way, just quietly folded into the mixture, like a secret ingredient everyone pretends not to notice. This is where the medicine stops arguing with your pain and simply turns down the volume on your entire experience of reality. Your limbs grow heavy. Your thoughts drift. The ceiling becomes extremely interesting. You lie back because standing feels ambitious. The healer smiles, satisfied. This is the goal. Relief doesn't always look like energy. Sometimes it looks like you're not caring anymore, and that counts as progress. In a way, it's very efficient. You came in with a headache. You left with a nap. As you rest, you can hear the world continuing without you. Footsteps, voices, life happening at a reasonable distance. The pain is still technically there, but it feels like someone moved it into another room. You could reach it if you wanted to, but why would you? This is how many ailments are handled. Anxiety, herbs, insomnia, herbs, pain, more herbs. If all else fails, add something sweet, something bitter, and something that makes you lie down. It's not that they don't care about curing you. It's that surviving the day is often considered good enough. There's also a spiritual layer to all of this. The medicine isn't just working on your body. It's working on your relationship with the gods. You're encouraged to relax, to be open, to let the treatment do its thing, which mostly involves you staring into space while your brain takes a short vacation. Modern medicine aims to get you back on your feet as quickly as possible. Ancient medicine is more comfortable with the idea that you might need to sit very still and think about nothing for a while. Or sleep. Mostly sleep. Eventually, you do feel better. Or at least different. The headache loosens its grip. Your muscles unclench. The urgency of everything fades. When you stand up again, the room gently sways, like it's checking in with you. You pass the test by not falling over. You thank the healer because gratitude feels appropriate when someone has successfully turned your pain into a vague memory. You step back into the sunlight, feeling lighter, slower, and oddly peaceful. The problem may return later. Everyone knows that. But for now, you are functional enough. And in this world, that's considered excellent healthcare. By midday, you've consumed more fermented grain than water. This is not recreational. This is survival. But something strange happens when your entire diet is mildly intoxicating. Work feels slower. The heat feels louder. Conversations drift. You're not drunk exactly. You're gently existing one step to the left of reality. It's like trying to focus at work after taking cold medicine that says non-drowsy, but clearly lied. This is the rhythm of the day now. The sun is high, unapologetic, and pressing down on everything like it has a personal grudge. You're working, lifting, grinding, shaping, carrying. But your body is moving on muscle memory while your mind floats nearby, offering occasional commentary. Time stretches. Minutes feel decorative. Hours become more of a suggestion. You take another sip from your jug because thirst is constant and water remains a gamble. The beer does what it always does. It hydrates, nourishes, and quietly smooths the sharp corners of existence. Your thoughts slow just enough that irritation doesn't fully form. Annoyances approach, look around, and decide to come back later. Conversations around you start to wander. Someone begins a story about their cousin. It turns into a story about a goat. It ends somewhere near the gods, possibly Ra, possibly just heat stroke. No one interrupts. Everyone understands. This is how talking works when everyone's blood is at least 10% grain. There's a strange clarity in it. Not the sharp, alert clarity of caffeine and deadlines, but a warm, drifting awareness. You notice things you might otherwise miss. The sound of sandals on stone. The way dust hangs in the air like it's waiting for instructions. The feeling that none of this is urgent enough to rush. Modern people would call this unproductive. They would panic. They would ask where the focus is, where the efficiency went, why nobody is checking the time. But here, the work gets done anyway, slowly, patiently, with frequent pauses to stare into the distance and reconsider your life choices. You realize that this constant, low-level alteration has an effect on how you think about the world. Big worries lose their edge. Small annoyances dissolve completely. You don't spiral. You don't catastrophize. You simply continue. It's not enlightenment exactly, but it's adjacent. Enlightenment's waiting room. You're not seeing the universe clearly, you're just not fighting it. Someone nearby laughs at nothing in particular. It's a good laugh. Honest, unforced. The kind that happens when you've accepted that today is hot, tomorrow will also be hot, and complaining will not change either of those facts. You smile, because smiling feels like the correct response to existing. There's a moment, as you pause in the shade, when your thoughts drift toward the divine. Not in a dramatic way, more like a casual check-in. If the gods are watching, you hope they appreciate the effort. You're doing your part. You showed up. You lifted the thing. You drank the beer. Surely that counts for something. The afternoon drags on, but gently. Your body is tired, but not angry about it. Your mind is foggy, but not lost. You're in a state modern people chase with apps, retreats, and carefully measured supplements. You've arrived there accidentally, through bread and beer and the refusal to rush. Eventually, the sun begins to soften, just a little. Shadows grow longer. The worst of the heat loosens its grip. You feel it then, a quiet satisfaction. Not joy, not excitement, just the calm knowledge that you've made it through another day without unraveling. You take one more drink, wipe your mouth, and stand up. The world sways briefly, then settles. That's fine. It always does. This isn't indulgence. This is balance. Ancient, fermented, slightly fuzzy balance. And somehow, it works. Now the incense comes out. Thick, sweet, and curling through the air like it knows secrets. Priests burn resins that smell pleasant at first, and then suddenly very intense. You breathe it in because everyone else is, and because not breathing feels rude to the gods. Your thoughts stretch. Time loosens. The chanting echoes just enough to feel important. You're not sure what's happening, but it feels meaningful, which is apparently the goal. This is the moment when the day stops being practical and starts being symbolic. Work pauses. Tools are set down. Everyone gathers, slightly dusty, mildly buzzed from bread and beer, ready to become spiritually involved. The smoke drifts upward in slow, confident spirals, as if it's already been here before and knows exactly where it's going. At first, it smells nice, sweet, warm, comforting. Then it deepens, thickens, takes on a seriousness that suggests you should probably stand a little straighter. This isn't just about pleasant aromas. This is about atmosphere, about convincing your brain that something important is happening, even if you don't fully understand what. The chanting begins. Low, repetitive, hypnotic in a way that sneaks up on you. You try to follow the words, but they blur together, carried on the smoke. Your breathing slows to match the rhythm, not because anyone told you to, but because your body decided that was the correct response. The incense is doing something now, not aggressively, just gently rearranging your thoughts. Edges soften. Concerns fade into the background. The heat feels distant. Your muscles relax. You're still standing, still present, but you've entered a mental space where questions feel less urgent. You glance around and realize everyone else looks the same. Calm, focused, slightly glazed. This isn't individual enlightenment. This is a group setting, a shared experience. Everyone breathing the same air, listening to the same sounds, collectively agreeing that this matters. There's a reason for this. The gods are abstract, invisible, hard to pin down. Smoke helps, scent helps, sound helps. When your senses are occupied, your skepticism doesn't get a turn to speak. You're too busy smelling, listening, and standing very still. The priests move with intention, slow gestures, deliberate pauses. Everything feels choreographed, even if it's mostly tradition layered on tradition. You don't need to know the meaning behind every movement. You just need to be there. Participation is passive, but powerful. Your thoughts wander in interesting directions. Memories surface. Feelings you didn't realize you were carrying drift up and dissolve. You have the vague sense that you're connecting with something larger than yourself, or possibly just enjoying the fact that no one expects you to do anything strenuous right now. This is altered consciousness, but respectable, sanctified, approved by the temple schedule. Nobody calls it getting high. It's communion. It's reverence. It's what happens when humans mix chemistry, belief, and a strong desire for answers. At some point, you realize you've been staring at the same curl of smoke for an embarrassingly long time. It feels profound. You're not sure why. You decide not to question it. Questioning feels like work, and this is supposed to be restful. The chanting fades. The smoke thins. The moment loosens its grip on you slowly, like it doesn't want to startle anyone. You blink. Shift your weight. Re-enter your body. The world comes back into focus, slightly softer than before. You feel calm, grounded, maybe even reassured. Not because you received a clear message from the divine, but because for a little while, nothing demanded your attention except being present. And that, in this world, counts as spiritual success. You step away from the ritual space, clothes still carrying the scent of incense, mind pleasantly quiet. The gods may or may not have heard you, but you heard yourself breathe, which feels close enough. This is the part where communication with the divine becomes easier, or at least feels easier. You kneel, you listen, and you try not to sway. The gods are everywhere, in animals, statues, dreams, and probably that buzzing in your ears. Are you hearing a message, or is your brain simply very relaxed? Hard to say. Either way, you nod respectfully and hope no one asks you to explain what you just experienced. Kneeling is important. It shows humility. It also lowers your center of gravity, which is helpful when your inner ear has opinions. The stone beneath your knees is warm from the sun, grounding in a literal sense. You place your hands just so, copying the posture of the people around you, because this is not the moment to improvise. Improvisation is how you end up inventing a new heresy by accident. You focus on the statue in front of you. It's calm, confident, definitely carved by someone who never had to answer follow-up questions. The god's eyes seem to watch you without blinking, which is impressive considering their stone. You feel seen, or judged, or maybe that's just the incense again. You clear your mind as instructed. This mostly involves trying not to think about bread, beer, or the fact that your leg is falling asleep. You listen. You wait. Silence stretches. Then a thought floats up, gentle and unannounced. Is this divine guidance? Or is it the same thought you always have, just louder because everything else got quiet? It's impossible to tell, but the atmosphere strongly suggests that something meaningful is happening. The chanting hums softly in the background. The smoke lingers, creating a haze that makes the world feel a little unreal. This is the perfect environment for messages, visions, and deeply personal revelations that may or may not hold up under scrutiny later. You think you feel reassurance, a sense that things will be okay, that your worries are smaller than you thought, that maybe the gods are pleased, or at least not actively annoyed. This is comforting. You nod again, just in case the gods are watching and taking attendance. Around you, others are having their own moments. Someone exhales sharply, like they've just received a life-changing insight. Someone else looks mildly confused, but committed. No one speaks. Speaking would break the spell, and besides, explaining spiritual experiences is rarely a good idea. In this world, divine communication isn't about clarity. It's about feeling, about atmosphere, about creating the conditions where your mind is quiet enough to interpret anything that happens as significant. The gods don't need to shout, they whisper. Or maybe they don't speak at all, and the whisper comes from inside you. You stay there longer than you intended. Time behaves strangely here. Minutes slip by unnoticed. Your body is still, your thoughts drifting lazily between reverence and mild dizziness. This is not unpleasant. It's like meditation, if meditation smelled like smoke and sounded like chanting. Eventually, you feel a subtle shift. The moment is passing. Whatever connection you were having is gently winding down, like a conversation that doesn't end so much as fade out. You take a final breath, deep and steady, and prepare to stand. Standing is an adventure. You rise slowly, testing your balance. The world tilts, then settles. Success. You feel proud of this small victory. The gods would approve of not falling over in their presence. As you step away, you carry the experience with you. Not as a clear message or instruction, but as a feeling. A quiet calm. A sense that, for a brief moment, you were part of something larger, even if you can't quite explain what. And that's enough. In ancient Egypt, certainty is rare. Comfort is valuable. You've had your audience with the divine, slightly off-center but sincere. You return to the world feeling lighter, steadier, and just a little bit closer to whatever it is everyone's been talking about. At least until the next ritual. Injuries happen. Backs ache. Teeth protest. The solution is more natural substances, carefully measured by someone who learned through trial, error, and watching people nap unexpectedly. Relief arrives, but so does a floating sensation that makes standing optional. You lie down, staring at the ceiling again, wondering if this counts as healing, or just an extremely old version of zoning out on the couch. Pain here is treated less like an enemy and more like an inconvenience that needs to be gently distracted. You didn't throw out your back, you offended it. And now, it needs to be soothed. The healer approaches with calm confidence, which is reassuring because your lower spine currently feels like it's made of regret. They ask a few questions, mostly rhetorical. Then they get to work. First comes the familiar lineup. Honey, because of course. Then herbs crushed into a paste that smells earthy, bitter, and faintly judgmental. Something warm is applied. Something sweet is swallowed. You're told to relax, which is funny, because you were already lying down and staring into space like a professional. If the pain persists, and it usually does, something stronger is introduced. Not announced, just included. A plant extract, a resin, a little gift from nature that doesn't remove the pain so much as gently lower the importance of having a spine at all. Your muscles loosen, your jaw unclenches. Your thoughts drift away from the concept of discomfort and toward nothing in particular. This is the ancient philosophy of pain management. If the pain can't be eliminated, simply move your attention somewhere else, preferably far away. Your body stays on the mat. Your mind wanders off, possibly to a place with shade and no responsibilities. You lie there, very still, because stillness feels correct. The ceiling becomes fascinating. Cracks form patterns. Light shifts slowly. Time stretches like it's not in a hurry to go anywhere. You think briefly about how modern people take painkillers and then try to answer emails. Here, pain relief comes with the understanding that you will absolutely not be doing anything else for a while. And that's intentional. Rest is part of the treatment. Sleep is encouraged. Doing nothing is considered productive. You're not lazy, you're healing. Or at least that's what everyone agrees to call it. Around you, others are in similar positions. Someone with a sore knee, someone with a headache, someone whose problem was described vaguely as everything hurts. The room is quiet, except for breathing, and the occasional sigh of someone drifting further into comfort. There's a communal understanding that this is normal. Pain is part of life. Relief is temporary. So when relief shows up, even in this slightly floaty, detached form, you take it. You don't question it. You don't demand more. You simply accept the gift of not caring quite as much. Eventually, the worst of the pain recedes. Not gone, just dulled, blunted, moved to the background. You feel capable of sitting up, though standing still seems optional. You test your limbs. They respond slowly, like they've just woken up from a very good nap. The healer checks on you, nods with satisfaction, and tells you to take it easy, which is advice you were already planning to follow. You rise carefully, steadying yourself. The world sways, then settles. This is familiar by now. As you leave, you realize something important. Pain relief here isn't about bouncing back. It's about enduring, about getting through the day with a little less suffering than before, about accepting help from plants, people, and the occasional unexpected nap. You step back into the light, body looser, mind softer. The pain will probably return. Everyone knows that. But for now, you're functional, comfortable enough, calm. And in this world, that's considered a medical success. As the heat fades and the sky darkens, you reflect on the day. You worked, you worshipped, you ingested several substances without ever fully meaning to. Your body is tired, your mind is oddly calm, and the world feels slightly dreamlike around the edges. Tomorrow will be the same. Bread, beer, smoke, sun. But for now, you rest. History hums quietly, and you drift with it, just a little altered, just like everyone else. Evening arrives slowly, as if the sun is reluctant to leave after everything it put you through. The air cools just enough to feel like a reward. Shadows stretch across the ground, long and lazy, finally giving your eyes something gentle to look at. You sit, because sitting feels earned. Standing all day was a lot. Dinner is familiar. More bread, more beer. Possibly something green if you're lucky, and someone was feeling ambitious. The beer tastes the same as it did this morning, which is comforting in a deeply unexciting way. Consistency is rare. You appreciate it. Around you, people settle into themselves. Conversations soften. Laughter appears, quiet and unforced. No one is rushing. There's nowhere to be except here, and nothing to do except exist until sleep arrives. This is the part of the day where expectations finally let go. Your body aches, but it's a friendly ache now, the kind that says you did enough. Your muscles hum with fatigue. Your joints complain, but without urgency. It's background noise, easily ignored. The haze from the day lingers, smoothing over sharp thoughts and turning worries into something abstract and distant. You lie down, or sit back, or lean against something solid. Comfort is improvised, but effective. The ground is cool. The air moves gently. The sky above you deepens from blue to black, slowly, respectfully. Stars appear one by one, like they're checking in. Your thoughts wander, unstructured. Bits of the day replay without drama. The rituals smoke, the chanting, the strange calm of feeling, connected to something larger, or at least something shared. You don't analyze it. Analysis feels like work, and the day is done. Somewhere nearby, someone hums. Someone else snores without apology. Night sounds take over, soft, steady, reassuring. You feel small in a way that's comforting, not threatening. The world is big. You are one part of it. That's enough. This is the moment when the altered edges of the day fully blend into sleep. You're not switching off. You're fading. Consciousness loosens its grip without resistance. There's no abrupt ending, just a gentle slide into rest. You think briefly about tomorrow, the sun, the bread, the beer, the work, the rituals. It all feels manageable from here. Distance makes everything kinder. Your breathing slows. Your body sinks into the earth, or the mat, or whatever counts as a bed tonight. You let go of the idea that you need to be alert, productive, or useful. You survive the day. That's the metric. The gods are quiet now. Or maybe they were always quiet, and you just stopped listening. Either way, the night doesn't ask anything of you. It holds you softly. History continues around you, indifferent but steady. People before you slept like this. People after you will too. The same stars, the same fatigue, the same small comfort of rest. Your thoughts blur, then thin, then drift away entirely. The day dissolves into something warm and distant. And as sleep finally takes you, you understand something simple and important. You made it. That's enough. Tonight, as you settle into your own bed, with its soft surfaces and predictable noises, take a quiet moment to think about the day you just lived somewhere else. A day of bread and beer, of smoke and sun, of aching bodies, drifting thoughts, and gentle chemical nudges that made existence feel manageable. It wasn't easy, and it certainly wasn't comfortable by modern standards, but it worked. Somehow, it worked. The people of ancient Egypt didn't have perfect solutions. They had routines, they had rituals, they had plants, prayers, and a deep understanding that life was hard and needed to be softened around the edges. So they found ways to cope, to ease pain, to quiet the mind, to feel close to something larger than themselves, even if they couldn't always explain what that something was. They woke with the sun. They labored under it. They breathed in smoke, trusted tradition, and accepted relief wherever it appeared. Sometimes in honey, sometimes in herbs, sometimes in simply lying down and letting the world blur for a while. They didn't rush healing. They didn't demand clarity. They endured, rested, and moved forward one day at a time. And here you are now, thousands of years later, wrapped in comfort they could never have imagined. Clean water, quiet rooms, light at the flick of a switch, medicine that works quickly on purpose with instructions. You don't need fermented beer to survive the day. You don't need incense to convince your mind to slow down, though it still helps sometimes. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, Maybe whisper a quiet thank you to the people who came before you, who lived through heat, hardship, and uncertainty with nothing but simple tools and stubborn resilience, who proved that even when life is exhausting, humans find ways to rest. Because history may be strange, uncomfortable, and occasionally fermented, but it's also proof that people are adaptable, hopeful, and quietly tough. Now let your breathing slow. Let the day fade. You're safe. You're comfortable. And unlike most of history, you can sleep without worrying about what's in your drink. Good night.